verbally abused, you let the comments roll off your back and check the next person, one said, but after a while, it starts to sink in. However, when a woman refuses a scanner and then comes to me and tells me that she feels like I am molesting her, that is beyond verbal abuse. No, you're right, that is beyond verbal abuse. That's now not abuse, that's verbal truth.
Could switching to Geico really save you 15% or more on car insurance? Does a former drill sergeant make a terrible therapist?
And that's why yellow makes me sad, I think.
That's interesting. You know what makes me sad?
You do! Maybe we should chug on over to Mamby-Pamby land where maybe we can find some self-confidence for you, you jackwagon!
Tissue? Right, baby.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Let's face the facts. Obamacare is the worst policy disaster in American history. Premiums are already rising. Children are being denied sole coverage. And taxpayers are on the hook for $2.5 trillion. Hospitals will be forced to ration care, and seniors will see Medicare slashed by $500 billion. We know you're angry, and you should be, but it's time to turn anger into action. Join thousands in signing the petition to repeal Obamacare, because the stakes are too high for America.
Paid for by America.org.
You want conservative talk radio with an attitude? Well, this ain't your daddy's talk radio, boy. This is the CB Media Night Train. The night train leaves the station at midnight every night for a no-holds-barred ride to the truth. Our hosts take a stand for what's right, and they don't back down. So get on board the Night Train.
On this special edition Hump Day, the open mic Wednesday for Thanksgiving, Turkey Day. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you out there who are listening in the chat room, in the cloud universe, and later on podcasts or download. Thanks for tuning in, and happy Thanksgiving to each and every one of you. Americans are likely to get cancer from airport scanners. Now, I told you this the other day when they said that this is, it's only like the equivalent of 2 minutes of radiation while in an airplane. Well, understand this. First of all, they're not sure if it's only 2 minutes. And secondly, mammograms. They have done lots of things with mammogram machines to either eliminate or reduce the radiation from, and telling women not to get them as often as they were getting them, because the radiation, it was doing more damage to them than checking for or screening for breast cancer. In fact, in some cases, with some women, mammograms increased their risk of getting. We know this. They've done research that's been peer-reviewed. We know this. Now, that's the key word, peer-reviewed. The studies that the government commissioned about these scanners have not been peer-reviewed, for one. Two, the dosage it has been highly, even within the government, has been highly disputed. Even if the dose was as low as the equivalent of 1 minute being aboard an airplane, first of all, what if you fly more than once in a while? Secondly, it isn't instead of getting the radiation from the airplane while you're in flight. It's on top of. I know you can make just about anything sound minuscule. No, you can break it all down until it sounds. The whole point is even within that 2 minutes, that 2 minutes worth, what does it do to your body? I don't care if it's 30 seconds. Now understand, if you're exposed for even 10 seconds to the after effects of a neutron bomb, you're most likely dead. So does the amount of time really matter? No. What matters is what it is able and capable of doing to your biological body, of which they don't know. Well, some doctors, medical doctors, seem to think that they know. They say the TSA is basing claims for safety on research is government commissioned. A Columbia University expert, and we know Columbia University is not one of the most conservative bastions of higher learning. A Columbia University expert in radiation today confirmed that it is quite likely that the radiation from screening machines be installed nationwide by the Transportation Security Authority to use on airline passengers will cause cancer. What kind of cancer? Any kind of cancer. Now, the word comes from David Brenner of Columbia Center for Radiological Research, and whose research involves radiation biology, low-dose risk estimation, and radiotherapy. Now, if you're in a hospital, you have to be a radiologist or an X-ray technician, which means you have to go through months and months of training on these things. You know, certain kinds of medical training, you know, other kinds of training. You've got to be certified in order to operate this machine in the hospital. How many of these TSA agents go through that same training? So how do we know that? Look, in the hospital, you've got all the safety precautions that they could possibly think of for these things, and it's being run by a very well-trained, certified person. Who says that these body scanners are doing the same thing? And understand, they don't have the same training. And understand this, folks. When you're in a hospital X-ray, it is most likely confined to a specific body part or area, limiting your body's exposure to the radiation. Full body scanner means that your brain is getting a full dose all the way down to your toes. So again, that extra 2 minutes in the air, what is that actually doing to your entire body? Mr. Brenner goes on to say there is no depending on TSA research, in quotes, that denied or minimized that risk because those results have been bought and paid for. Well, they've probably been bought. I wouldn't say they've been paid for. The government doesn't have any money. There's also the problem with the spreading of infectious diseases, skin diseases. Because TSA, now this is, if you're going to go for the pat-down, if you're going to go through the pat-down instead of the scanner, you can request and actually demand that the TSA agent change their gloves. And it's simply for health reasons. Because when you go into a doctor's office or you go into any sort of type of medical facility, like a dentist or what have you, what happens when the doctor comes in with gloves on? What does he do with them? He takes them off, or whoever the examiner is, they take them off and put on a new pair. Because the gloves are supposed to keep the doctor's hands clean, which means the gloves take on all of the infectious diseases and germs and viruses. So how do you get rid of it? You have to change your gloves. So I don't care if they're just, look, once they touch somebody else, I don't know where that person's been. Don't know what that person does, and they're just talking about people's personal hygiene, some of them not being all that grand. Force them to change their gloves. That is not an unreasonable demand. Look, you want to touch me? You touch me with some clean gloves. Because germs can be spread on these latex gloves. And if you are allergic to the latex, oh, there you go, folks. Tell them they can't touch you with those because they need non-latex gloves because you're allergic. There are lots of Americans who have an allergic reaction to latex. Tell them, no, I get an allergic reaction to latex. You can't touch me with those. And yes, if they do so, even after you tell them, and note, if you get sick in any kind of way or have an allergic reaction, regardless of you needing to go through that, they are not immune to prosecution and lawsuits. They're not. Remind them of it. No, they may be immune to groping you, but they're not immune to other things. So tell them, change the gloves. Brennan undermined Department of Homeland Security statement that X-ray imaging scanners are safe by explaining the government's research is not peer-reviewed. Now, he says, we know the radiation dose is very low, but there are different views about how low is low. By the way, Brenner is a PhD, he's a doctor. TSA is basing its claims for safety on research the government has commissioned, he said. Now, we always tear apart drug companies that commission research and say, oh, we commissioned this research and it's safe. But, well, the government's doing the same thing that they tear down drug companies for. Now, he cited a report by 3 scientists from Arizona that is peer-reviewed that concluded that cancer is a public health concern even from low doses of radiation. Because your body's absorbing all kinds of radiation on a daily basis. It's just natural. There's natural radiation that your body has to deal with on a daily basis. Question is, what is the extra radiation doing to you? The man-made kind of radiation. Now, the major public health effect of concern at low doses of ionizing radiation is cancer. It is not possible to determine reliability whether a radiogenic risk is present in an X-ray screened population because of the high spontaneous incidence of cancer and the multifactorial nature of disease causation. But in other words, the more you fly, the more you fry. It's just that simple. The more you fly, the more you fry. I would demand that one that you get patted down if you get chosen to go through the scanner, and 2, that they change your gloves right in front of you. Yeah, sorry, don't trust it. You said you changed it. I want to see you put on a new pair. Because there are reports of people potentially getting, because, they do touch skin, people getting skin rashes, even some communicable and transferable usually sexually transmitted diseases, like types of herpes and crabs. Oh, yeah, crabs can be on latex gloves, people. Even lice. They just go through your hair. Not a good thing. Especially when you're dealing with other people who, as TSA agents put it, may be lacking in their personal hygiene area. Just don't trust them.